Good morning and welcome to another Wine Steward video. What you see before you, item number one, is a bottle of Cattleya Pinot Noir from the Russian River Valley. This is beautiful, not inexpensive Pinot Noir made by Bibiana Gonzalez Rave. Maybe you've never heard of her. Probably haven't heard of her unless you've heard of this delicious brand. This is one of the great Pinots of the world, but the brand is still a little bit new to the market. So we're spreading the word. We're gonna really spread the word and announce her brand next Tuesday evening, as I've already been telling you in emails and perhaps with one other video. Cattleya is the name of her brand. She's from Colombia. I believe Cattleya is the name of a native flower of that area. She has studied at two different universities in Bordeaux, studied winemaking, that is. She has worked at Chateau Haut-Brion, among other places of great esteem. And now she works here in California, making beautiful Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Syrah, and a few other items. You need to know about this wine. You need to meet this very energetic winemaker. And you will also on that Tuesday night get to meet her husband, who is perhaps a little better known. His name is Jeff Pisoni, and yes, he makes the wines of Pisoni and Lucia. So especially known for wines from the Santa Lucia Highlands. Those are majestic Pinot Noirs, Syrahs, and Chardonnays. Both husband and wife will be on hand showing their respective wares this Tuesday night. This event has 2 seats left, and it would not be like me to announce an event or remind you of an event for which there are so few seats remaining. But I think based on the speed at which people are signing up, we could open a 3rd bottle and seat another dozen of you. If I hear in, let's say, email form, or maybe a telephone call, or just a visit to the store, hey Jim, put me on the waiting list. If you feel confident about your numbers growing to another dozen, get me on that list. And we'd love to have you. So here's to say, if you communicate with us, we can in fact be emboldened to add a 3rd bottle of all of these beautiful Chardonnays, Pinot Noirs, Syrahs, and others to the pouring inventory. All right, we'd love to have everybody who would love to come to this event. And I'm just overjoyed by, like, the thing has nearly filled up in a day and a half of promotion. So that's pretty cool. Cattleya, Pisoni, Lucia, husband and wife winemakers, Jeff Pisoni and Bibiana Gonzalez Rave. I'm still trying to remember that name. Anyway, I've met her. She's vivid. She's great. You're gonna love her. Okay, so that's that about that event. Let's note another event called St. Patrick's Day, which I believe happens this Monday. And we are gonna celebrate by showing you this green cheese of which we have just restocked. So get in the door down there and hit that cheese cooler and you will be able to access Sage Derby, which actually isn't from Ireland, but it looks oh so Irish with its beautiful green mottling color. It looks a little scary too. Is this like a blue-green cheese? No, it's actually very mild and buttery in texture and has just a mild herbaceous quality because that green comes from the tinting of sage. Sage is added to the cheese, and so Sage Derby from Derbyshire, north of London, I'm told, in England, but we can pretend it's Irish, all right? Because on St. Patrick's Day, everyone and every cheese is Irish, right? That's coming. Rusty, I'll be out in a minute, or in a minute. I'll take you for your walk. If you hear him in the background, he's saying, hey, it's my turn. It's not quite. Moving on, let's tell you about a wine that is on our wine bar white flight that actually isn't white. This is a final entry in the 5 wine sequence of our so-called white flight, nearly almost all white flights. This is Mirabeau X, and this is to announce that the 2024 vintage has just arrived. It's as good as all the former vintages of Mirabeau X from Aix-en-Provence that we've carried, and it's got like 5 different grape varieties. It's Grenache, Cinsault, a little Syrah, a little Cabernet Sauvignon, a little this, a little that, a little bit of Rolle. Rolle is actually better known as Vermentino, as grown in Italy, but this is in Provence where they call it Rolle. Anyway, it's gorgeous, classic Provence style rosé. And we might as well segue to the reminder that the same producer makes a gin, and we do in fact sell beautiful spirits downstairs, including this, of which we have recently restocked Mirabeau gin. very flowery. It's dry, but it's got a very pretty, almost, well, it is Provence style in its mood. You should try it. Not only does it make a pretty pink cocktail for you, but it says Provence somehow in the nose and in your mouth. I think either a dry martini or especially a gin and tonic would be lovely with this gin from Mirabeau, the same people who make that gorgeous rosé. Let's tell you about one more wine that is in the white flight. Well, we're kind of on that subject, the almost all white flight. If I can find it here, I really love the Sauvignon Blancs of Northern Italy. They taste like no other Sauvignon Blanc in the world. They don't taste like a Sancerre, they don't taste like a Kiwi or New Zealand version or anything that we do in California necessarily. This Northern Italian thing is distinctive and sometimes too distinctive. But I believe with this one that we've just nailed from Nals Margrave, that looks a little German, but did you know that the street signs and the language up there is interchangeable? In this northern part of Italy, German is often spoken, German is often written, and you often see allusions to that language on the wine label. So this is Südtirol or South Tyrol. That's the German name for the area, Alto Adige, which is the Italian name for the area that maybe we use a little bit more often, because we are in fact in Italy, but this used to be part of the Austro-Hungarian Republic, hence the use of German here. Stein, which I believe means stone in German, alluding to the local soil there, and a Sauvignon Blanc, unlike any other, it is in the wine bar flight. Very distinctive, beautiful Sauvignon Blanc. Might take some getting used to for some, but I think most of the people who are innocent recipients of this wine are already saying, yeah, I get it, that's lovely. All right, that's it for the white flight. As you know, there are 3 other beautiful wines. It's a 5-wine flight every week, but let's talk a little bit about the red wine flight. Actually, let's skip that. We'll come back to that, but let's tell you about this sparkling wine that we just brought in, and it may look familiar to some of you longtime participants at the Wine Steward. We believe one of the greatest values in sparkling wine is from this South African producer, Graham Beck, and I believe they had a lot to do with starting the idea, the official name of Cap Classique in South Africa. What is Cap Classique? What does that indicate? It indicates that the second fermentation happens just like champagne in individual bottles. So whenever you see Cap Classique on a bottle of South African sparkling wine, you can be assured that it's made just like champagne, made like Cremant in France, second fermentation in bottle. This does in fact use the classic champagne grape varieties. It has nearly half and half Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and then there's just a little bit of that third one you all know about called Pinot Meunier. They're all in here. This is a bone-dry, beautiful rosé that is the sparkling wine of the week. So another allusion to pink wine that is dry, so don't be afraid, all right? Graham Beck, you gotta try it. We are so glad to have this back. Now let's talk briefly about what we're doing in the red flight and say something about sequence. Did you know that I try all of these wines when I'm choosing, once I've chosen the wines, I'm trying them all to determine sequence on the menu, like what order should they be shown in? Now, typically, if you go to a tasting room or if you're at a particular wine shop's event, you're gonna start predictably with the delicate and move all the way up to the biggest at the end. Well, I like to surprise the palate with maybe big at the beginning and then something a little more delicate and then big again. But the point is, I want everything to stand out. Instead of this gradual easing up or growing up of power, I think the more dynamic roller coaster ride for your palate can be fun as well. So what we're doing in the red flight is starting with this Cabernet Franc. That's from Germany. It's from Argentina. And I think Argentina's dark horse grape variety, of course we all know Malbec, is Cab Franc. We're going to hear a lot more about really good Cab Francs out of Mendoza, Argentina, as we all get to better know that wine country, and as producers down there are more confident about sending up Cabernet Franc. So this is a very nice one from Kuyken that starts things off. Because it's a New World style, it's got some body to it, kind of like a cab, but you get that beautiful fragrance that only Cabernet Franc can provide. So Kuyken starts things off, a pretty sizable wine, and then we go to a Syrah that is perhaps a little more mild-mannered, even though it's from another New World situation called the Sonoma County area of California. This is by Eric Kent. It was recently enjoyed by our wine club members. I hope you enjoyed it. but we have more to sell, the rest of you. And so this elegant Syrah is wine number 2 in our red flight. Now, it's a big gear shift to the Rhone Valley of France, where the wine might feel a little more structured because we are now going officially to the old world, where structure and food friendliness is valued over like cocktail wine power. And so we are going to show you this wine. We've done it before. This is Domaine Calendal from the Plan de Dieu, like God's plan, which is just north of Châteauneuf-du-Pape. And this is a beautiful blend of 70% Grenache, 30% Mourvèdre. I wrote on the menu that the Grenache is there for charm and the Mourvèdre is there for grouch. Mourvèdre is kind of a curmudgeonly grape, but the two together are beautiful. And actually, this is a wine that's even better the next day because of the presence of the grouch. The Mourvèdre sustains wine longer, and that's in fact why it's often included in a Grenache blend, Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre, or just Grenache Mourvèdre in this case. Domaine Calendal, really cool wine, and an interesting gear shift. Your palate will be surprised and kept engaged in this flight, I hope. Now we're gonna get like half that size, perhaps, in the size of wine. When I'm talking about size, I mean body, like how mouth-filling is it? We are now going to go to Chianti Classico for a Chianti Classico Reserva that we've just brought aboard. It's so new that I keep forgetting the name. So this is Conte Ceresori. I hope you say it that way. A Chianti Reserva from the very good vintage of 2019. And as you know, this, I hope you know, this is going to be based on Sangiovese, but coming from the Chianti area. And Sangiovese never tries to be big necessarily. It tries to be vivacious and vigorous and enlivening, and it's supposed to make you hungry. Even if you had this middleweight wine with a really big, rich steak, that would be a very nice pairing to try out. This is a nice wine, a penultimate wine in your flight where you would think we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden we're showing you Sangiovese that's big in character, but not necessarily big in body. It's more about zestiness going on here in this beautiful Chianti Reserva. Chianti Classico Reserva, I should say. Now we will end up with something pretty big. Big in fruit and big in rock, in that this grows in Licorea. Have you ever heard of that type of slate? That's the name for the local slate in Priorat. Yes, we're bringing our good friend Embruix de Vallac back to the menu, and that'll be the final wine. This is from near Barcelona if you want, in España. A beautiful full-bodied Priorat that doesn't break the bank. I think we're well under $30 for this juicy, delicious blend of at least 4 or 5 grapes. And we should include in the ingredient list that black slate known as Licorea, because when you smell this wine, you're not smelling just fruit, you're smelling definitely the rock. Give it a whiff and you'll know what I mean. Well, thanks so much. Don't forget that event. Don't forget to email me about whether you would like to be put on the waiting list for that event, since probably by noon today, we will have sold the final 2 seats that are currently available. But I am eager to have more of you here enjoying the presence of Bibiana and Jeff Casoni, and it's going to be damn good. So thank you again for your interest in everything we're doing here at the Wine Steward, and happy St. Patrick's Day in the meantime. See ya.